is a popular saying that the Arabs fear time, but time fears the pyramids. There are pyramids in Egypt that are about 12,000 BC old. The Africans invented time for the first time about 10,000 BC. Keep that date in your head. And then it was revised between 4,245 and 4,242 BC. That is to the solar and lunar calendars. And then the Nshinga bone found in the Congo was about 20,000 BC old with a numerical system of a number basis of 20. It means that their mathematics system was more complex than the base 10 that we have today in our learning system. I wonder why there is no scientific proof to show how the big blocks were carried to build the pyramids of Egypt. You wonder why everybody keeps fighting to hijack this Kemetic civilization that was African. When Napoleon invented or invaded Egypt in 1789, he brought scholars who stole books from the temples, and they went with these books. Don't forget about this other guy they call Alexander the Thief, whom the Europeans call Alexander the Great. This guy came in about 341 BC or thereabout. They invaded Egypt, stole books, and then after these books were stolen, they ripped the covers, changed names. You hear people like Socrates who wrote 1,000 books. When you as an African hear things like this, what do you think about? The Phoenicians taught the Greeks how to read and write. They taught them their alphabet. Everything European was African origin. And now when they came now with it as religions, they forced it on us. Look at where Africa is now. I read a comment somewhere that someone suggested that the Bible and the Quran should be burnt out of Africa. I just wonder whether this person is ready for the kind of war that our lost brothers are ready to fight. Now, when Professor Leakey wanted to find out the origin of mankind, he didn't stay in Europe or America for long. He passed most of his time in Africa, and he discovered that some of the oldest human bones on the planet were found in the Great Lakes areas in Africa, that's in East Africa, and this woman's name was Lucy. After understanding all this, the biblical narrative of creation shows that the earth is only about 6,000 years old. Yes, just about 6,000 years old. Tell you two white people came together, Adam and Eve gave birth to every other person that replicated and then populated the world. But science shows us that the white gene is recessive while the dark gene is dominant. It means that the white gene can never give birth even to the yellow man, let alone the black man. How was it possible that two white people came together and gave birth to black people? That is what the story of Noah will talk with the account of Ham. Yes, if you read it, you see that Ham was the black one, the original ancestor of Africa, who saw the father's nakedness and then the curse that had to come down to justify slavery and slave trade. Let me remind you that Africa civilized Europe twice. The Europeans fell into something they call the Dark Ages. These Dark Ages came about because the only book they had was the Bible. The Africans and the Arabs had to force them with different enlightenment system, different books to open their heads. Africans ventilated the house they built for the Europeans. They told them how to defecate and clean themselves. Not to drop where they ate and slept. Taught them how to brush their mouths, clean everything about themselves. Did I remind you that the first university was in Timbuktu, in present day Mali? Did I remind you that we spread agriculture to every part of this world? Domestication of animals and all those things. We Africans did all that. Okay, now, have you ever stood and asked yourself why there is a sign of the pyramid, which is an African symbol, on the American dollar? Have you ever asked why they took the name of the White House in Memphis, that's ancient Nubia, and now we have the palace of the United States of America, named as the White House. There are a lot of things that if you were to open your eyes, you understand that they are just a counterfeit of what our original African culture, which is based on science, was all about. But these people came and made us to think that our history only started in 1492 when slavery and Columbus, who lost his way trying to go to India and found himself in the new world called today America. We have a wonderful, deep history embedded in scientific knowledge that we are only falling short of what our ancestors were. That is why I always keep saying that we have to go back to our systems of learning. We have to embrace our African system of observation, which was the basis of our science, so that Africa can be great again. Because we are just a shadow of ourselves, which means that we have been programmed to see the world in the perception of the European. That is why we have in Africa today. People think that if you can express yourself well in good Portuguese, in good French, in good English, that makes you an educated person. Is a lie. That is not it. Every language has a way of expressing their perception of reality and the way the world is. And English, French, or Portuguese is just another. So, as Africans, we need to really stand up and build Africa. But this Africa can only be built on the basis of unity. One Africa, one people, one destiny.